Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Wherever you are, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Exponential Verse. My name is Bill Halo, and I will be your guest host. I am honored to be sitting in for everyone's favorite host and content creator, David Gruis. Before we begin, I just want to thank David and his incredible crew. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and to discuss topics that, as a writer and a reader of prose, I just love to explore, learn from, and of course, be inspired from as well. That being said, I presume I am a lot like you, our valued listener, so let's get started. This episode is titled, Out of Uniform. What could that title mean to a writer? How about the listener? I don't know, but we are going to need to find out, aren't we? So let's do just that, right after these messages. Welcome back to Exponential Verse. I'm Bill Halo, the host for this episode titled, Out of Uniform. Without a moment more wondering, let me ask the most asked question on the message board since we announced this upcoming episode last week. By the way, we decided to group different questions from our listeners that were essentially asking the same question with different phrasing. The question is, how does this episode topic, Out of Uniform, relate to writing, if it is supposed to relate at all? By the way, we did read some accurate analogies for Out of Uniform, and there were only a few of you, so great job, you know who you are. Anyway, I think we all understand that when you do a show like this, you need to answer and engage the majority of your listeners, so we are glad to be doing that. What does the topic Out of Uniform have to do with writing? Well, you know why this program is named Verse Exponential, don't you? David Gruis, the show's creator, is an avid writer of free verse. He is also a longtime songwriting lyricist and vocalist. His free verse writing process has always been theme or storyline focused first. After that, he always waits and hopefully welcomes the words to flow like a transcription, quickly to the page from the voice dictating in his head. Remember, before he had ever heard of free verse, as this style of writing is known, David found it necessary to name it himself because he didn't know or hear of anyone else sharing his writing style. David named his style Verse Exponential because once the writing began, many times it would seem to write itself. Maybe one page, or maybe every page of the notebook would be filled. Whether poetic prose or just recognizably poetic, the reviewing opinions of the reader and the writer, David, were the same. These words are not limited or intended to rhyme or not rhyme. They are not at all in service to a given rule for structure and form. In fact, if you were to read the hundreds of binders filled just by David alone, you would be hard-pressed to find anything composed to the scrutiny of a design or any required form. I guess you could say David's style of writing, even though easy to read and understand, is written out of uniform. Oh, there it is. It took a minute, but I'm going to let us pause for a bit, and when we come back, let's see if we can generate some more questions and continue to clarify the name, the style, and the literary value of this unique style of composition.
Welcome back to Verse Exponential, everybody. This episode is titled Out of Uniform. I know I sound a little strange, that is if my name is Bill Halo, right? Well, I had to step in for him. He does a great job, but other obligations arose, and, well, off he goes. But you know, we record these episodes in segments many times. We work until we've got it all put together with the right people. Challenge number 1 is getting our contributors on deck and in the building. What's my name? My name is Danny. And as I mentioned, Bill had to go, but that's all right. We share the same interest in the topic at hand. I'm talking about out of uniform and what it means. In part, it pertains to a style of writing, but even more than that is the personal exponential writing experience. David named it and admits to still searching for I'm here now. I'll take that job. I'm your host, Danny, and I have taken the wheel. Stay with me. You need what is coming up right after this. We're back. That was just a short break, right? You know this episode Out of Uniform was supposed to be the first episode by design? It should have happened already, and for whatever reason, just a hard one to get made. Bill partially explained that Out of Uniform has much to do with verse Exponential. But we don't want to focus on an unconventional style of writing or how it is questioned by the status quo. At least not on this episode. We want to place all those doubters on hold and reapproach exponential verse as a subject more important than adhering to literary rules. What is important to know is that this style of writing is defined by the personal experiences writers have while composing. Each is unique, yes, but similar as well, in the way they claim to remember being present during the work, but not responsible for creating what was written. Even if formally trained, these writers experience and compose something unconventional and seemingly of a very serious tone and theme. Because of this, it seems that in every writer a type of mystery is placed. Even to themselves, there is much to explain about it. About what was written and what it means, and then of course the question of how the writing came to be. Through David and hopefully through many of you we will learn the creative state of mind that allows verse exponential experiences to speak. There are a lot of questions lighting up the lines. I'm hoping to answer all your calls tonight, today, this afternoon, or wherever you pay your taxes. I know all of us are intrigued. I've been writing for many years. I've written by the rules until I could finally say as a writer, by rule, writing to me is second nature. So, even by chance of instinct, my writing would follow what training instilled. These experiences are occurring to every writer, no matter their background. David told Bill Halo he was the perfect host for this. I asked David if he'd settle for the perfect second choice. Awkward moment, yes, but I think I got him thinking. Newsflash, he asked me to pump the brakes on the calls and questions. This just in, David wants me to play a verified reading of a real exponential experience. Something that we have recently received at the studio. I am aware of it and it has been validated. I'm told David will fill you in on the rest. This comes from a writer who writes exponentially. To me, it's quite frightening, quite sad. We're going to play it through. But what's happened is this man, this writer, witnessed someone he cared about going down a very scary path. And they went too far down that path. In his own exponential verse experience, he wrote in first-person style his deepest terror and fears about the possibility of things going completely the wrong way. I'm not saying that I'm aware of whether things did or did not. I will say this piece as recorded has a dose of authenticity to it. You will hear strong evidence of what this art, this poetic art form, is all about. This is just one of its unique identities. I'm going to leave you with it. You enjoy it. David will be back next week. He's going to pick it up from here as only he can. Meanwhile, I'm Danny, and believe me, you will be hearing from me again.
I am the scream in the void. Nobody hears. The weight of isolation has overcome my strength. If delusion has control and this is all on me, then delusion is a snake, a cold blanket coiling around me, holding me down in the clutches of Fahrenheit falling, my numbing hands desperate and grasping empty air. The world around me was moving in ways I could not connect. Was a real and hopeful life so long ago? It is just not clear at all anymore. I disconnected the moment I felt nothing. It was sudden, and I was laughing, out of control laughing. I felt invisible walking away from there. I walked solemnly and steadily. You can never look back. I knew that. And there was no sense of joy, no relief, or any kind of expectation. I do know this. There was more before what life became. A haunting smile that stood gazing out into the world. A world with one half the colors gone. And nothing would shine, nothing would grow. There was more before what life became. I am a ghost in dirty clothes, unseen and left unknown. The street accusers pass around whispers about delusion. Now I am the rumor and the shame, because a crowd of strangers share one swayed opinion. And once again my story is chosen for me. They don't know this. Every trust one have ever known has been twice betrayed. In self-defense, my own distrust gave doubt to the places of faith and belief. Then fear etched into me with every pain imagined and endured. It was the many names of pain that bruised and bled me, and they don't know this, but I could never be the reason for cutting. Yes, they found me cut into ribbons and bleeding the bath. Do they know this? I gave them every reason to cause this or avoid it. They do not know this, but I couldn't learn how to live where no one noticed me. Then the screaming violence moved in, grew on the walls and stayed. It stayed like a curse or a demonic possession, installing itself into every conversation that could have been something better. Something better than another sincere expression of hatred. They don't know this. I had nowhere else to go. I could hear it all every time. I sought refuge in the basement and then further into the canning cellar, hoping I'd find a space to escape it all. No, they don't know this. When you hide beneath the surface, dark forces grow, and poison like flames within the veins begin the work of inflammation. No, they don't know. Despair, neglect, bad choices, and voices only you can hear will threaten you with silence and constantly accuse. You are the reason for the screaming walls. Your sadness cannot save you from the blame for a family that is soon to dissolve. Those voices continue to berate and I can't escape. They are going to turn on you soon, and you will be the target of those screams, because you're to blame. It's important now, but I know they do not know this. Darkness grows under different names. Darker grows darker and hides you further away, hiding your hope and veiling the way out that leads back up to the surface again. They don't know this too, but I take the blame. I may not be human, and it does not matter what you say I am. I know they don't know this, but I am inside just a wounded creature, and I need them to know it. Whatever kind of creature, I am just broken. They don't know this, but I take the blame. The reason for loss of love and hate. I caught all the poison killing us in the net of my guilt. I let it burn inside my blood. They don't know this, but I was strong, I was sincere and committed too. I did, and I wish someone knew how scared I was. And then, I could feel it working. I was cooling the flame. Even if I could not stand anymore, or be heard, or loved, I could put out the flame. I just had to drown in a sea of my own making. I hope you know this. You don't have to scream at each other anymore. I hope you know this. I took every pain with me, and I wish I could tell you, and I wish you could hear me. I wish I were dreaming, and I was just on my way to waking up and learning. Learning that I'm going to be okay and that I have been saved from a big mistake. Instead, I know I'm not where I was, and you're not here. I left there and never arrived anywhere one could call a destined place to be. No, it's like I'm sleeping and maybe dreaming, caught somewhere in the middle and not leaving. I'm tired. If I were a candle, I'm all the way down, going to sleep now. One thing I do know, there was more before what life